This is the day where we have 80 jerseys that blend into one blue river. One blue river that flows constantly. The end of the river, the empty end of the sea as one. That's how we roll.
Same here, bro, Sarah.
Hooray for us!
All right, hello, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. And how are you, Amy?
I'm doing wonderful. I thought we'd switch sides today. Just
let's do it. Mix
switch
it
it up a little
Playoffs.
bit. It is exactly.
You got to switch it up in the playoffs. You got to make some changes.
I love it. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you. Welcome to the Sarah High School Football podcast. I've said it enough; it should roll off my tongue.
Yeah.
And here we are after a very, very fun Friday night under the lights. We had Poly Day, we had Senior Night, and we had a wonderful win. And it was a really wonderful event to be at. And I would just love to hear you talk about first, maybe talk about the events surrounding it, and then we'll talk about the actual game itself.
Sure. Well, we've never had so many wonderful events in one night. We kind of crammed it all into the end. So we didn't really know how that would go, just management of it all. But I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really, really cool to have this Polynesian fire kind of concept.
The fire dancer was awesome.
The fire dancer was great. We brought him out from Hawaii. We flew him out, a fire knife dancer. So that was really cool. And the T-shirts came out nice, just kind of celebrating this fire concept, which obviously fire is a powerful element, which is light and heat and cooks and all sorts of great stuff. But I just thought it was a really magical night. I thought it was really good, and we needed it. We needed a night where just kind of everything that was full Sarah came together, and night game always does that.
Sure.
Having Polynesian night there, and then of course celebrating our 40 plus seniors who've given their life and their time to Sarah football. So, and then just seeing all those families and the support, I think it was
the largest. I could not believe the amount of family members that showed up per athlete. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
There was great support for the boys, and it's almost turning into like one-upping the next year.
It's
like
a parade now.
There's just going to be like, hey, coach, can I come on my horse next year? And someo's going to want to roll their,
there
convertible.
There were some really cool cultural costumes too. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It was beautiful.
It was great. And Sami Fua, and I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, Nana Latu's crew came through, and we just
Jonah.
Alapati's
he was dressed to the nines. It's awesome.
Exactly. And Kaimana and Cheta.
Yes.
From Lahaina coming over here, and just, it's such a beautiful combination of celebrating our seniors, regardless of where they're from, but also celebrating the seniors on senior night with a Polynesian heritage,
right?
With the night game, which we do once a year here, which is always special. And the initiation of all that kind of put us on a higher emotional level to start the game. So that's how I felt on the extemporaneous things that happened that night.
Well, it's kind of neat. As you were just talking, I was thinking, the whole concept of Polynesian Day is coming together as one family, and what a nice night to actually have many family members coming to represent the specific athletes. So that's true. Kind of a cool, blend, if you will.
The family within the family.
Exactly. Right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun, and there was food trucks, and there was delicious Hawaiian food. The Hawaiian plate was delicious, and then, well, thank you for all the people, all the volunteers. It takes a huge tribe of people to come together. And
the Haka, the freshman
Haka did great. Yeah. And then we have wonderful, members of our community that teach the Haka for months before that. So a shout out to everybody that helped to put this on, because it was a big deal. And we came out with the W. So
that's true.
Why don't we talk about the game
itself?
Game, and then there's that.
Yeah. And then we started with a football game. And I remember thinking in my head, wow, there's been a Padre football sighting. And and it's like, like Superman flying through the air, like, oh, it's a Superman sighting, or you know what I'm saying? That kind of concept. I saw a brand of football that we've been searching for all year that came out. And it was one that was rooted in toughness and organization. And I was like, okay, like just kind of thinking as a fan, like, wait, is this what we're going to see now? Is this, did we finally figure something out? Is there something that potentially changed in our psyche that's been missing since Folsom, let's say? It just felt more like a Padre football game. I had a fan just come up to me and was like, hey, what's going on with the team? Like, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he goes, what I saw last night was like
Padre football.
Right. And I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, I don't know. There was just something different. Like, nobody could really explain it. And there's so much to this game that is way under the current, under the spiritual nature of the game is so special. And We've been teetering on that all year. There's a certain spiritual nature of a team that can transcend. Did we have 11 guys on the field? Did Coach Bell throw a run, or did he call a run or call a pass? Like, football goes way beyond that, and particularly for the teams that are transcending any one given team. There's so much more to it, and that's what I love about it. I love the trying to figure that out. And this year we've been teetering on it. It's like been a seesaw, and even in some of the wins that we had, and just taking the scoreboard out of it, there's a certain feeling that has been missing, but not Friday night. And that's what I'm most excited about as we enter the playoffs. I've been given the team an analogy because we're not WCL champs. That's been shared this year with St. Francis and St. Ignatius.
Right.
Reardon beat St. Francis in week 10. Reardon, I think, has 2 league losses, but now SI and St. Francis they have 1 league loss, so they're co-champs of the WCAL. Which doesn't, I mean, we've been co-champs before. I mean, if you're a champ in this league, it's been a great year. So congratulations to those guys. But there's like what was I saying? I was talking about
just the team as we get toward the end.
Right. As you get towards the end and things start defining itself, things start declaring themselves. This is when we want to peak. And since we're not WCL champs, what are we? We're 4th place or whatever we came in on. If you're not 1, you're probably, 2 through 8, whatever.
Right.
We're just not 1. But the only kind of analogy I can give in our situation, we're 5-5, is the team that beat Tom Brady when he was 18-0. They're now 18-1. The New York Giants. I don't know the year, but I know those New York Giants were 8-8 after 16 games. They were 500. Which, if you just want to do scoreboard stuff, they had 8 happy moments and 8 miserable moments. And if you look at us, just scoreboard wise, which I've declared last week, like I've loved everything about this team, and I still do, minus a few scoreboards,
That's
right?
right.
But if you just look at it in that sort of deal, scoreboard wise, we've had 5 happy moments and 5 miserable moments. So figuring out that this is the situation we're in. We're not rolling 10-0 and everyone's feeling great about themselves. There's been some doubt. There's been some positive moments, some negative moments. We've learned so much. We've constantly improved. We were 9 of 12 last week, which got us to 75% of our goals, which is exactly what we want. That's 9 of 12 usually equals a win, unless you have 9 turnovers or whatever. We didn't get the turnover goal. We had 9. That's not true. We had 1. But so I think with the Padre sighting, with the concept of peaking at the right time, learning, like really getting that taste of what Padre football is really all about, being that tough organization, had to do with a very difficult opponent this week, is where we want to be. That's kind of my outcome of the football side of things.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it was Gets Sports Focus did a really cool locker room. They did some awards.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to
I
take
did.
a look at it.
I actually don't watch that very much, but for some reason caught this one.
Me too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I do watch it because he does great work, but I always have to prepare for you. Like,
Yeah,
what did I
right.
see? Okay, let's see.
Yes.
But I also, it was just so cool to see that camaraderie,
Yeah.
and just, I mean, they were so excited, and it was so fun. So I know you've done that 5 times, I know, but it was just really fun on this particular night.
Yes.
We did have, one unfortunate outcome with Wolfgram. Yeah. How's he doing? Shout out to his family.
Well,
They're amazing.
I mean, I was the first, one of the first people on the field after he got injured with Robert. He, Champ from Valley Christian, who's 300 plus pounds. Just, it was one of those things, wrong place, wrong time with the ankle. He fell right on top of him and broke his ankle. So, in relation to absolutely miserable injuries, which a broken ankle we can live with.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's a season-ending injury, and I ran out on the field, and Robert's like, he's just kind of laying there like, almost just being Robert. He's one of the best spirited kids we have on the team. Everyone
So
loves
great.
him.
I know.
The Wolfgram family is so supportive. It's so great that he's playing Padre football, and this is for good thing for young people out there. There was a time where he was thinking about not playing. And I hugged him after that moment, and I said, just think. It was actually before the game when he came out and we were doing the senior introduction, and I gave him a hug. I go, can you imagine if you chose not to play? Like,
seriously,
just embrace this moment. Everyone's here to support you. The lights are on. I mean, you're here. You started every game at offensive guard. I mean, there was a moment where we had to convince you to do this, and it's like, this is why we take this faith-filled journey we call here at Serra. Like, you can't predict what's going to happen to any one human being. But when a kid's in that moment, I'm sitting there talking to him like, Coach, I'm thinking about not playing. I'm like, okay. I mean, if you don't want to play football, don't play. But let's think through this here. What are you giving up? Right. What Robert didn't give up was a wonderful 10-game season where he probably didn't anticipate playing all that much, I would say, during those moments.
Sure.
All of a sudden, he's the starter, right? He's starting every single game at guard. He had a wonderful season, graded out, probably the most consistent of all of our linemen. We have great ones this year.
Definitely.
Was there on senior night with his family and the lays on him and all these wonderful things, hugged it out with me, walked through his team. Like, what a wonderful moment. Sadly, Champ fell on him at the wrong time, broke his ankle. And when he was laying out there, he was just, Robert, like, he just kind of knew, like, he goes, yep, the way it felt, he was just kind of looking in the eyes like, this is probably it. I'm sad, but I'm also, it seemed like he was at peace.
Well, he went out under the lights. I mean, that's good too,
Yeah.
right? No,
yeah. He went out like the
great.
natural. The lights were blowing
Well,
up.
I'm glad we wish him a speedy recovery.
Totally.
He's a great family, great
kid.
person, great contributions to our team. So just wanted to make mention of that.
And he's in good spirits, and that's, to me, the most important thing is, he made an impact on Serra football. He dented the Serra football universe, if you will, and he has nothing to be ashamed of. So
awesome. Well, I'm sure he'll be out here on Saturday watching. And we got a good game coming up. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Los Gatos? We play them at home at 1:00.
Yeah, and I know just from feedback, I heard people are interested on the playoff formats and how it's seeded and all those things. So when we took all the points and we calculated them all up, we earned the 4th seed this year, which gives us one more home game here. There's potentially 2, but if 3 if it's out of our control, right? So we get one more home game here in Brady Family Stadium, which is great. And we're playing Los Gatos. And we don't have a long history with them in terms of playing each other every year. But we did play them when we were the 4 seed and they were the 5 seed, which is the exact same thing we are now in 2014.
Oh, interesting.
And that was 10 years ago now, if we're doing the math. I think that's proper, right? 10
I love
years.
it.
It's amazing. We lost 24-0. And it was probably one of the worst
There's some weird numbers connections there because
there's a lot, right?
We're playing them in 2024.
I know. Well, hopefully the scoreboard
14,
doesn't repeat itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which if we're going on patterns, that'd be bad for business. But if they beat us 24-0, they deserve it. They should move on and all that stuff. So
for sure. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. But it was one of the most disappointing games of my coaching career because you think home game, you think playoffs, you think, hey, the season's on the line. And I just did not have the team ready to play at all. In that we won the WCL championship somehow. We had a co-championship that year in 2014. So maybe we were kind of feeling good about ourselves, or I don't really know exactly what happened. But I can tell you exactly what happened on the other sideline. They were ready. They were poised. Coach Mark Crail is one of the greatest coaches in CCS history. He's still coaching the team now. Wow. They're tough. They're physical. They're extremely well coached. Chad Purcell, his son's playing on the game. These are guys next level buddies of mine too. So I've gotten to know them really, really well since that dark day in 2014. And they're great people. It's a great community. Actually, Brent Brennan is the head coach of the University of Arizona.
Okay.
He was the head coach of San Jose State University for years. He is a St. Francis Lancer. He's married to Courtney Brennan, who I grew up with.
Oh, gosh.
His son is the quarterback for Los Gatos. Yes,
wow.
He's the quarterback for Los Gatos. And I've known Scotty Brennan for pretty much his whole life because I've known Brent for
sure. Neat.
So there's and I know Brent's flying in for the game. He told me today he's flying in from Arizona. Obviously, they don't have a game on Saturday, so he's coming in for the game, flying in. So it's a big game against an extremely well coached team. If we are surprised by the effort, by the enthusiasm, by the coaching, by the toughness of the Los Gatos Wildcats, then I have not done my job at all.
Right.
I've failed. And we will have a repeat performance of what we had in 2014, when I failed in 2014. And I take ownership. If everyone in the class gets an F, then it's probably the teacher's fault. If one person gets an F, it's like, all right, I had the class ready. And this is my mindset on my classroom. We lost 24-0. Pretty much all those guys out there failed. Those are my guys. And so I take full ownership of the attitude, enthusiasm, effort, mental frame of mind for that game. And so it's 10 years ago, but it feels like yesterday for me. And so that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the same. I'm pointing to the sideline because that's where they stand. I'm expecting the same effort and enthusiasm and attack mode that we're going to get from Los Gatos. They're going to do everything they can to win this football game. And if we're surprised by it, we'll lose the game. Right. And I'm hopeful that we won't be surprised by it because we do have some history.
That's great. And so you mentioned the quarterback. What else? What do we have to watch for just in terms of like, what are they known for?
Here's the good thing. This is a compliment. So, one of my goals I've talked about many all the time is I want to be known. I want people to watch us and say, man, that is a tough, organized team. And that's what I see from Los Gatos.
I see. Okay.
So, I wouldn't call it like we're looking in a mirror. There's obviously lots of differences with our schools and other things. But when it comes to like football, so what you can expect as a fan or an observer of people watching, you're going to see a group of 11 offensive players who are tough as nails, and when they turn over on defense, 11 defensive players who are tough as nails. They fly to the football. One thing I've noticed, which is another thing that really stands out to me when watching the film, is there's not a lot of big runs against them. So sometimes you'll see like, this guy went for 80. Right. This guy went for 70 yards. Like it doesn't really happen, which is a testament to their hustle.
Sure.
So maybe a back breaks through the first line of defense or spins out of a linebacker tackle, and then there's 6 or 7 Los Gatos kids, right? They're kind of one of those 11 hat on the ball defensive guys. So it really minimizes the big plays.
Sure.
And which brings in, we got to be patient. We got to understand what we're up against. And, there's probably not going to be like 8 80-yard plays against Los Gatos. It just doesn't happen because they're so well coached and they play so hard.
And
so
do you know what their record is?
Shoot, I don't. I just know I don't know. No, there's something in 2. I think there's something in 2. Okay. I think they lost to Wilcox. I think 19-14, I believe. And they lost to Pittsburgh on the road.
Yeah, good team.
A good team by 17, but Pittsburgh scored late. It was a 10-point game deep into the fourth quarter. There was a couple turnovers. And Pittsburgh is one of the best teams in Northern California. I think they're 2. So they've played tough teams. They're not going to come here and lay down for the great Serra. It's not happening. So I know exactly what we're going to get. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I know exactly what we're going to get.
Nice.
So.
And about your team, I see them out here right now. How's the win? How is that kind of infiltrating the practice and the focus for this week?
I think good. I think they got that taste, that taste on what we've been talking about, or the disappointment in some of the games, and that Teddy Roosevelt quote of, it's a longer quote, but the end of it, he says, we don't want to be one of those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat, which is that kind of middle ground.
Sure.
Like who wants to be in the
mediocre,
middle? Like, I went to work today and it was okay. And like, that's a boring. No one wants to live like that. Like we need to live in these playoffs. Like, and living can be painful. Like we're going to let's throw our hearts against the wall. Let's give it everything we got. And if we do lose the game, at least we know
you gave it all you got.
We're not a cold and timid soul.
Right.
Like I just, there's been moments where I felt that this year where it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
And I was like, and that's this, everything I say is, it's a reflection of myself. So if I'm feeling that way, then that means I need to do a better job to not feel that way, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It definitely does.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not, parents that listen to this, like this is on me. And I when I say this is on me in a season like this, where there's been some moments, like I'm the one that I'm going to shoulder that the most. It's my responsibility to make sure that we don't at least feel that way.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm hopeful that regardless of the outcome this weekend, we push it and we're not caught in purgatory of emotion.
Sure. No, I think that's great. I mean, I think that's all your words have so much value and meaning, and it really does help the boys to think about things bigger than just, like you
Yeah.
said, the scoreboard. I think that's lovely. And that's why we all love you. I
Yeah.
also, just before we leave, I just want to
Yeah.
say that our JVs went undefeated this year. So that's just want to shout out for them.
They
That
did.
was
They
very
did.
exciting.
And actually, we were listening to the thing. Maybe that's why, because Charlie's watching it now that Charlie's playing, and he actually got interviewed, and so
Yeah,
we wanted to review
so
his
great.
interviewed skills. So they didn't go 10-0
great.
for the record. They actually didn't win a game in preseason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking league. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with
Yeah.
you. That happened. And what I'm saying is this happened on the broadcast. And I remember it was RJ Goldbeck, and the announcer was for Get Sports Focus. How does it feel to be 10-0? And as he's speaking, he's like, after we lost those first 3 games, it's like, wait, it's hard to do the math here. But what everyone's saying is they went undefeated in league. They went 7-0 in league,
Yeah.
and by all accounts, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. So I'm proud of Coach Bob Vignal.
For
Coach
sure.
Bob Vignal outdates me at Serra. He's a Serra alum. When I came here, he had coached on varsity.
Right.
We had talked about him coaching varsity, but for the last 24 seasons, I've been the most fortunate head coach in America to have a guy like Bob Vignal, who sacrifices so much time with his family. I know Trudy gets, oh my God, it's football season again, but Trudy's a great supporter too. But, coming all the way from Santa Cruz to coach, he loves the boys. He's a great competitor. He's a great coach. And I'm very, very proud of him, the entire Coach Langridge, Marty Dialba. We have Takua. Takua came over from St. Francis this year,
great.
so it's nice to have him over here in his first experience with Serra as a WCL championship on the JVs. So it's something to build on with an already very, very strong sophomore class.
Awesome. And just a shout out to all the coaches, because you really have, for all 3 levels, just outstanding role models for these boys. We're very, very lucky. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, we'll see everyone here at 1:00 on Saturday against Los Gatos Wildcats, and go Padres.
Go
Thanks,
Padres.
Coach.
Thank you.